Companies need ways to manage all of the devices that they own. So, all their computers, all their cell phones, all their tablets, whatever. So, how do they do that? Well, in order to get all of those computers connected to each other, just call that computer. Whoops, not supposed to be there yet. Copy all these. All these computers are going to be connected to the company. We'll just say it's called Alvin the Chipmunk Incorporated. We need to create a sort of system where the company, or like a central unit or central computer in the company, can go out and control all of these devices. So you're restricting which websites they can visit. You're not letting them have too much access to the computer. You're only giving them what they need. This whole, I guess, little system, this is called a domain. Let's move up here. Domain. In this little central hub, we call that a domain controller, or you might also call it we'll just say domain server. So that's what this is called right here. And you control everything from here. Well, that's cool. It's good to know how the world works, but what does that mean for us? Well, what you can do is you can go ahead and take everything in here. You can go back to your own computer and you can sort of mimic this environment. So inside our own computer, we can have our own domain where we have a domain server and we have multiple computers that we're managing over. And this is a home lab. A home lab is when you're taking the entire network or infrastructure, a technical infrastructure of a company, and you're downscaling it to where you can emulate that inside your own computer. That's what a home lab is. Well, why is it important? Well, you can go ahead and test things out. You can reset passwords. You can practice implementing security measures. You can even try to break in your own network. So you learn how to do these things on your own instead of waiting till you're on the job to do them. And so by playing around, you can really get good at this stuff and get experience without having actually done this for a company yet. And that's what the entire last video, which I would recommend watching if you haven't already, setting up or installing a home lab. That's what all that was about. Well, I want to take some time to just explain a couple of things we did there that may have been confusing. First, I want to, is it not coming? Yeah, first I want to talk about this right here. Inside of VirtualBox, I said we have a domain server, we have our domain server copy, and our Windows 10 Enterprise. What does that mean? Well, you can think of this domain server as the actual central hub itself. Then you can look at this Windows 10 Enterprise and say this is the same thing as all these company computers right here. So with this one, we can manage all the other machines right here. Well, okay, that's cool, but what's the purpose of this domain server copy? What does that do? That's just a backup. So if something goes wrong with this, you can just go ahead and use this copy anyways. And that's a good habit to have in real life as well. Any important files, any important documents, anything important, make sure you have a copy of that. So if it happens to get destroyed or hacked or something goes wrong, you can restore everything as quickly as possible. I'd also ask that you go ahead into network settings. You change this from deny all, or not deny all, deny to allow all. Now what that does is it will change the MAC address right here. And what a MAC address is, it's a way for a computer to identify other computers. So let's say we have a couple computers here. We have computer 1, computer 2, and 3. Computer 1 wants to find out, how can I contact computer 3? Well, computer 3 has to have a name or something that I can reach out to, because I don't want to reach computer 2. I don't want to reach computer 4. I want to reach computer 3. And this is what a MAC address is. It's literally just a name or a string of letters and numbers that a computer can use to identify other computers. This is great in the real world because every physical computer is different from one another. You can literally pick it up and stuff. In a virtual environment, like that's not the case at all. And when you're trying to set this up all, I guess, set up multiple computers inside of one computer, you can end up in a situation where all of these are the same. So there is no 1, 2, 3, 4. All of these look the same to each other. And changing this from deny to allow all, actually, this is a terrible draw. I got to redo that. That was just awful. Let's just do that. 1, 1. Changing this from deny to allow all makes it to where instead of you would have everything having the same MAC address like before, everything has a different MAC address. So now they can tell each other apart and they know which computer to send information to. So that's why that needed to be done. I also said go to the domain server, make that bigger, and change this DNS address to 127.00.1. Now, why did I say that? Let's go ahead and bring this over for a second. Now, this little domain server or domain controller, whatever this would be that would be managing the other computers, it can also act as a DNS server. Well, DNS server. So what this loopback address does is when it goes to figure out, okay, which DNS server can I connect to? Well, really, it can connect to itself because it's already a DNS server. Instead of going out in the world looking for a DNS server, what it does is once it reaches the address 127.0.0.1 and this specific address, this is a signal that says, oh, I should just go ahead and connect to myself. And that's what this address does. It's called a loopback address because it's going to loop back to itself. So that's why, as I said, this needs to be the DNS server address. Now, I also had you look at the IP address of your domain server. Now, why is that? This is from the actual account itself. So this is from the domain controller, which is the hub that's controlling everything. And this screenshot is from the account, the Windows 10 Enterprise account, which is, it can be thought of as just a regular company computer. So that's where these screenshots are from. So now that we have the IP address of the controller, we can put that IP address in here. So now the account is going to connect to the company DNS every time it wants to access something. What does this look like? Let's go ahead and add another company computer right here. So it's going to go ahead and, I don't remember the IP address. Was this 192.168.86.47? So every time, I just covered it. Jesus Christ. There we go. Made that bigger. And this is the domain controller's IP address. Every time the computer wants to access the internet or something, not the internet, but go to a website, it's going to go to this DNS first. And because this is the company's DNS, like let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to go to Roblox or something like that. Because I'm going to send this address to the company. It's going to read this and say, hey, wait a minute, this dude's not allowed to visit that website. We have that website banned. It's going to go ahead and deny that access to you. So you cannot access that website from your company computer. So sad. And that's what this is doing when I connect to the DNS. It also allows us to connect to the DNS server in general. So I'm able to get all those permissions, all those security measures, whatever it is that the company has set up once I connect to that domain. I know that was a pretty rough explanation, but that's a general overview of what we did during the home lab setup.